What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to Stylez Studio. We've got the full production team, the Hair Talk team here, and we're coming at you from the beautiful and sunny Miami, Florida. We're at Stylez Studio in cool Wynwood. This is in Miami. It's kind of like the Brooklyn of Miami. It's a cool, fun, funky place that you guys should visit whenever you're in the area. But today is going to be all about extensions. It's super exciting because in your careers, there's a few opportunities for you to make clients more loyal, attract a specific clientele, and make more money from every client. And extensions is one of the best ways to do all three of those things. So this is going to be really good for you guys to level up your knowledge and awareness on everything extensions, all brought to you from our friends at Hair Talk. So first, a little house cleaning. At the end of this live, please go to the end, submit, and get your certificate of completion. This is really good for you guys to get recognition and get acknowledged for investing in yourselves and learning. And you should, I encourage you to take a picture of it, post it, tag Milady Education, tag Hair Talk USA, and tag us Stylez App so that we can all recognize and reward you as well. And also, if you have any questions on that, please email the team at Milady. Go to helpme@milady.com. So we're really excited today. We've been filming already, doing some work on a model with our friends from Hair Talk. And today, we're excited also that the Hair Talk brand channel has launched in our app, the Stylez app. So a little bit about us. We're an education and tech company, and our mission is to help beauty professionals succeed and achieve their dreams in the beauty industry. So in our app, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of tutorials, interview clips, and full-on webinars teaching you how to cut, color, style hair, do barbering. We have skincare with Dermalogica, and now extensions with Hair Talk. So we're really excited about that. So after this, you guys can go get a free app. You can check it out and see the Hair Talk channel. So today we have two great educators and team members from Hair Talk who are going to be going through this hour with you. And I would like to bring them on and introduce them now. Please, Miss Marlene. Hoot hoot.
Hi.
And yes, Randy as well, please. So we're really lucky because the Hair Talk family is actually in the neighborhood. They're from Fort Lauderdale. And so they just had to come not far from here. And Marlene, why don't you give the audience a little bit of background on who you are?
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're all here to join us today with Stylez and Hair Talk and Milady. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Marlene. I'm the Director of Education at Hair Talk Extensions, and I'm so excited to be here with you guys. One of the most important things for me as an educator, this is what I've devoted my beauty career to, is inspiring and educating the stylist professional, and coming to students and being part of that career path is so important to me. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Then we have Mr. Randy, who's the educator and has been doing the hair and is going to finish the work today.
Hey guys, how are you? Randy Garcia. I'm the Senior Creative Manager for Hair Talk. I've been doing hair for like 17 years, and in the past 5-6 years, I got into extensions and then started working with Hair Talk.
So everybody watching, please chime in the questions. Both Milady and we will be fielding those questions, and I'll be interrupting these two throughout the day to share your questions with them. So engage, chat. We're all going to have fun. We're going to do some hair and help you guys, learn more about extensions and make more money in the industry.
Thank you
Perfect.
so much,
Thank you.
Corey.
All right, I'm out. See ya.
Thank you. Okay, guys, super exciting stuff. So one of the first things we want to talk to you guys about is the benefit of extensions. Why is this great for you as an emerging stylist onto the beauty world, and why is this going to be great for your clients? So I'm going to let Randy tell you a little bit about his story and why he introduced extensions into his skill set after 10 years, I think you said you were on the job?
Just about 10 years after doing, getting out of beauty school, being licensed and working in salons. Within 10 years, I started noticing how other stylists in the salon were making quick money and their clients were in and out. And I was wondering what they were doing, and found out that they were offering tape-in services, and that's how I pretty much started getting into the extension world within the market, and really saw a change in my annual revenue and how much, how quickly I was able to increase my annual profits and really build that loyal clientele that is going to be in the salon every 6 to 8 weeks, because they need to come in, take them off, and then put them right back on.
Yeah, so I think that's a really important piece, right? So, you know, most of us get into the beauty industry because we love to make people feel good by making them look good. But let's face it, you guys, we want to make some money. We want to be able to, you know, pay a mortgage, buy a house, do all those great things that, you know, a successful career path can give you. So I think that's a great story, and it's really important to know that extensions can give you that specialty. And one of the great things about what we're going to showcase here today is the ability to do that in less time. So, you know, stylist careers are full of income generating opportunity, but one of the great things about Hair Talk and what we offer is that opportunity to do it in less time, which means you're making more money behind the chair in less time. I think anytime you can do that is a really great thing. So I'm going to let Randy talk to you guys about some of the methods of extensions that are available and the ones that we offer, and then we're going to kind of tie into what we're going to showcase today.
So within hair extensions, there's usually 3 main categories, and the oldest, most well-known one is keratin. Probably came out in the early 2000s, late 90s, and that one is strand by strand extensions where you're attaching the hair with a keratin bond to a strand of hair on the client's natural hair, and it takes about 6 to 8 hours to apply a full head of extensions. The other main one and the most trending one right now all over Instagram and Facebook and anywhere else you turn is weft, and those are either done by braiding the hair or creating a foundation row with beads, and then you grab a weft that's usually 10, 12 inches, or a machine weft where you cut to customize it to the width of the head, and you sew it onto the client's natural hair using that foundation. The other one, and this is probably the quickest, simplest one to learn, and the one that we're going to be showing you here today, is tape-in extensions. That one, you grab a slice of hair and you put one extension on the bottom, the other one on top. People refer to it as sandwiching, and within the hour, 45 minutes to 60 minutes, your full head application is done. Shall we?
Imagine that, like you're basically, you can charge anywhere from what, like 700?
For a good tape-in application, you're looking at $750, $700, depending on the client's density and how much hair. But on average, you're looking at $750, and half of that goes straight into your pocket.
Yeah. So I think that's what you guys want to see today. So we are going to get started. We want to invite our lovely model, Erica, to join us. Hi, Erica. Come and have a seat with us. So Erica joined us earlier, and we've already kind of started working on her application, and Randy's going to talk you through some of the things that we already discussed with her, and really important, she's already got some hair extensions in, so we really want you to see what she looked like when she got here. So if you guys could pull up that before picture, it's really impactful. So you can see Erica's got great color. There is a little bit of wispiness towards the face frame, and she wanted more length. She wanted brighter color, and she wanted a little bit more volume. So I'm going to let Randy kind of talk you through what his conversation was with her and how he chose her extensions.
So first and foremost, the most important thing you can do with a client whenever you're going to offer any type of extension service is the consultation. When I sat down with Erica, I had the conversation with her in terms of if she wants to go lighter, if she wants more dimension within her hair color, what activities does she do. She is a nurse and really doesn't have too much time to spend in the salon. So really when it came down to it, it was tape-in extensions was a no given. So with that, I color matched her hair and really just looked into her natural color, the highlights that she has going on, the low lights that she has, and we really wanted to make sure that the colors that we chose match. Without a perfect color match, that's where you're gonna get that line of that natural tone, and then you can obviously tell where the extensions end.
So Randy, before you start talking about her particular color match, I want us to talk about a little bit about this color ring. So your professional color ring, when you're ready to introduce extensions into your skill set, this is your kind of all-in-one. It is going to be your best friend. It's going to be your consultation and color matching tool, but most importantly, it's going to be a great marketing tool because it's going to help you introduce that conversation to your clients almost effortlessly. People just can't help it. I think you can see Randy is kind of stroking it and running his fingers through it, and he handles this all the time. It's just, you can't help it. The hair is gorgeous. You can feel the quality of the hair extension, and what the clients are attracted to is that ray of color and all of the options that they can get out of that. So definitely you wanna make sure you have a professional color ring in your arsenal so that you can have that as a tool to introduce that conversation.
So yeah, as a stylist behind the chair, I literally have this hanging on my station, and clients can't help but just to grab it and ask, hey, what's that? Or they come in and like, oh, I want color like this. And you're like, oh, well, those are actually extensions. So it's a great segue into that conversation and leading your clients into, you know, possibly getting an extension service. But this hair is the exact same hair quality of our extensions here at hairtalk. So the clients not only get to see all the color selections, but really get to feel it. With Erica, like I've mentioned earlier, we sat down and I went through all the color selection and just really wanted to match her tones. When you're looking at, I'm gonna turn her around really quickly. What you always wanna do is look at your client's hair, look at her natural color like I mentioned before, look at the highlights, look at lowlights, and look at her ends. And that's where then you wanna just pick the colors that are really gonna match and bring out any tones. If she wants to go warmer, if she wants to go cooler, really you're placing these extensions as you would place a highlight, essentially. So with Erica here, I kind of combined our color melt extensions, which are kind of like an ombre balayage, where it transitions from a darker tone to a lighter tone. And then we did a rooted color to match those roots and then go into that blonde. So with this color combination, I was able to really show off and bring out a little bit of warmth and at the same time cool it down while still keeping some of that darkness throughout.
And I think another really important point to mention too is that she's got a really decent transition here in her hair. So when you're doing your color match, you want to start at about the mid shaft and then color match the ends, and then you have to consider the root shade. And one of the things we always talk about is that every color match that you're doing is at least 2 shades. Sometimes 3, 4, and 5 if you're really advanced, but at least 2 shades. Even somebody like me that is a solid brunette is gonna need 2 shades of extensions to just bring out and enhance that natural dimension in the hair. Really important.
And if you actually look at the 2 colors that I chose, there's actually 3 different shades within these 2 colors. They both have like a warmer 6 tone at the base, and then one goes into a warmer blonde and the other one's a cooler blonde. That way I can give her the dimension even within that blonde.
So what are the colors that you chose for her today?
Oh, the colors that I chose here were the 660A color melt and a 613 6R, which is our rooted color.
And what does the color melt signify in color world? What would that term
mean? Color melts
mean?
are the ombres, hand-painted techniques like balayage, a nice even transition from root to end.
Yep. And then your 613, what is it, a 6R?
613 6R, that's the color, that's like the, what we will call, you know, in the industry today, people come in asking for a lived-in look, a shadow root. And with these already pre-colored for you, you can get that effect in a matter of within that 45-minute to an hour mark.
It's great. You don't even have to use chemical color. And for someone like Erica, who's already having some breakage around the front, this is a great way for her to enhance her color and get that fullness and volume without compromising her hair that might already be, you know, a little bit fragile in certain areas. So we're gonna walk you guys through some of what we did before we came on. So we're going to talk through some really important pieces to preparing your client for her extension service. So Randy, just give us a sense of what all did you guys work through before you started her application?
Well, after the consultation, you always want to prep the client. And with tape and extensions, you want to make sure that hair is clarified. So we use we don't have it, our Cleanse Plus, which is essentially a clarifying shampoo. And we shampoo the client's hair twice, no conditioner at all. And then we blow dry and smooth it out, ready for application, because the last thing you want is little flyaways, getting in the way in between your application. And then after you're done with that, you want to go in and section the hair.
So sectioning is a really important piece of the application. Clean, precise sections is going to be crucial to making sure that you're not getting any stray hairs from other areas in between those tape and extensions. So you can see on your screen, there's a shot of the pre-sectioning that we did for her, and you're basically sectioning in 3 areas. You're isolating the 2 front sides, and you're starting your work in the back in the nape row, which we consider row 1.
Yeah. So are we ready for row 2? Or row 1, sorry?
Yeah.
So then once you section off the hair into those 3 quadrants, you want to go, dependent on the clients and the density of the client's hair, you want to go either 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch above the nape. You want to make sure that whenever you flip that hair up, you're not going to be able to see the tape and extensions. So on Erica, her hair is actually quite dense, so we were able to go 1/4 inch and start applying our extensions. So another thing that you'll see on the screen is the placement of the first extension. Just like the nape, you want to make sure that around the perimeter of the hair, that if she picks up her hair, no extension is going to show. So you want to make sure that you're placing that first extension on either side, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch once again, and then working your way on up. Another thing to take into consideration is how many extensions in that section you want to place, because you never want them touching, but you want them close, so like that you're filling up and building that density and that length.
Can you show them that little trick that you do, even if it's just on the side, of how you make the comb disappear?
So using my extension brush, I section off a piece of hair. So here on
Just turn
Erica,
her around a little bit. Yeah.
I grab the section around the hairline, this is a good 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and then I just simply cover the extension brush. And if the extension brush, you can totally tell that it's there, then you maybe need a little bit more hair to make sure that you're covering up any extension that could possibly show. So by incorporating just a tiny bit more hair into this section, now I know that, all right, this is the hair that I'm gonna leave out, and this is where I'm gonna start my first extension.
That's super important, particularly at the perimeter, because if the wind blows or she ties her hair up in a top knot or a loose ponytail, you want to make sure those extensions are completely concealed. So
Yeah.
really important trick.
So now we're gonna get started. I wanna show you how simple it is to apply these tape and extensions.
So before we get on to
sorry.
that, let's look at our second row so we can talk about filling in the spaces as you're building up that brick lay pattern and what that means.
So once again, on her first row, I applied like 2 extensions. However, because of a little bit of a gap in between and not enough spacing, when I moved on up to the second row, I have to use a brick lay pattern to make sure that as you're laying those extensions, that it's covering up any gaps from the previous row. So with Erica, I use 2 extensions on that first nape row and then place a brick lay pattern, placing 3 extensions on the second one. As I work my way on up, you can start seeing that it starts building up that density, and then I started incorporating more of those rooted colors to start giving her that lived in look and blend into her natural colors.
I love that. It's so pretty. And it blended so well with her hair too. all
And
those
then
colors.
now on the screen, you can see that first temple row, kind of like what I just showed you on camera, where I made sure that there was enough space. So if she picks up her hair, there's not gonna be any extension showing. I also introduced different sizes for the extensions. And here at Hair Talk, we have 2 different sizes. I can show you here. We have our original size, which covers up the most real estate. This is at 1.6 inches. So the majority of any application usually consists of an original size. And with Erica, the entire back of her head, I pretty much used originals. As I got to the front, you can start seeing that from where her ear starts and how much hair I had to leave out to make sure that the extensions don't show, there's not that much spacing left. So that's where I like to go in and start incorporating our smaller size, which is at 1.6 inches. And this is our petite size. So these are perfect for areas of higher visibility, gives the client a little bit more movement by picking up the hair, pulling it back, making sure that there's just a good transition and still getting enough hair to then build up, you know, the density, the volume, the length. And I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, and I think that it allows you to customize your application. So we offer 3 sizes, but really when you're learning, you're gonna wanna focus on that original size extension and those petite size extensions as you're practicing and building your skill set. And like Randy said, your original classic is going to be, you know, what is going to comprise the majority of your application. And then you're going to use those petite sizes to kind of fill in those areas of higher visibility where she may be a little bit thinner, so you have to be a little bit more discreet, right?
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, and there's also less weight and less stress on that hair. So especially around the front where there tends to be a little bit more breakage because of clients excessively flat ironing the hair. You always want to go blonder around the front, so they're usually exposed to a lot more chemicals.
Yeah, that's a really
a little
important
less stress on the hair is always perfect, which is why less dense, less weight, and less stress on the hair is always perfect, because it just avoids any further breakage that could be caused because of the chemicals and that stress that's already on that hair.
Yeah, which is another great reason why introducing extension services with tape is such a great idea, because this is going to be the least compromising to your client. It's going to be the easiest one for you to learn, and it's going to be the most comfortable and safest for her.
And really, when it comes down to the color, like I mentioned before, it's you have complete control of what you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. So on a client like this that's constantly bleaching out their hair with highlights, you can come in here and just give her that blonde that she wants without ever considering any further breakage due to chemicals.
So I know you guys are soon going to start a demo
Yep.
to show them how to apply and everything. Yep. I want to interrupt with a couple questions that have come in that I think is good to address now.
Sure.
So you were just talking about different sizes of extensions. Is it okay if people could maybe cut one in half to make it smaller? And can you address that?
It's a great question though, because we get it all the time.
It is a good question, and the answer is no. You do not want to cut any of the extensions. Our extensions, since we do have 3 sizes, the smallest one is at 0.4 inches, 1.1 inch and 1.6 inch. By cutting the extension, when you place both extensions, one on top and one on the bottom, it creates a watertight seal. So by cutting the extension, you're never cutting them exactly at the same, width. So what happens is there's space at either end, above, below, where water can go in and really just create slippage, and the client would have to come in a lot sooner than what she should have.
Yeah, so it compromises the adhesive that is keeping the extension in place, and it's also you could actually shed hair from the extension because you've cut the tape, the adhesive weft that is holding it together. And let's face it, you want to get more of that hair in her head. So.
And either way, like I said, with 3 different sizes, there's just no need to cut an extension. It's just a matter of that consultation and placing your correct color order.
Yeah.
Can these extensions be reused?
Yes.
Ooh, good one.
So all our extensions, our tape-in extensions, after initial application, can get removed and reapplied up to 3 times. Client usually comes in every 6 to 8 weeks. With our solvent, you just spray it over the adhesive. It breaks down the adhesive. With your fingers, you can take apart the extensions.
I'll tell you what, why don't we do her application, and then we'll have a little bit of time, so I think we can actually show a quick removal.
Yeah, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have finishing questions about coloring the hair and all that. We can do that after the demo.
Sure.
All right, have fun.
All right, so let's get started.
All right, let's get started, because we know what you guys want to see is the application. So one of the first things that Randy is going to talk about is spacing and placement, and how important it is that your extension application is spaced properly, not just between the extension side to side, but also row to row.
All right. So one thing that I'm always going to stress about is the little flyaways. You always want to make sure they're up and out of the way. So little clips are always a great thing to have handy. And the reason for this is that you never want any of the little flyaways that shouldn't belong in that extension to get caught, because all it does is it can cause discomfort for the client. As the extension grows, it can start pulling on it, and eventually you never want your client walking out of the salon unhappy or uncomfortable. All right, so like I mentioned before, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with our smaller sizes. That way she has that movement, she can pick up her hair. In addition, whenever you're placing that first row of extensions above the ear, you always want at least 2 finger width apart above the ear, because not every client wears glasses, but reading glasses, but every client wears sunglasses. So you always want to make sure that that hair doesn't get caught up in the extension and it might pull. So making sure that there's enough space above the ear and away from the hairline will, make sure that no extensions are being shown and no extensions are getting snagged on.
So we're starting with petite.
We're going to start with petite. I'm actually going to start with our rooted extension. As you can see at Hair Talk, our rooted extension, which is called this is a Petite Plus, and the hair is injected over the tape tab, over the adhesive, so it gives an effect of the hair is growing out of the scalp. So it just conceals, it gives that client a more concealed look, and in case she picks up her hair, it looks like there's nothing there. So,
We joke about that, don't we? The worst thing that could happen is that somebody tells your clients they love her extensions. You want your clients to be walking around and her friends are going, oh, I love your hair, what did you do? And they can't even tell that they're extensions. So that's what Randy's talking about, making sure that they're good and concealed.
So another thing to keep in mind as you're placing your extensions is the amount of hair you're grabbing. You always want the extension, you always want to place the extensions on hair that equals the width of the extension and the density of the extension. That just ensures that the client doesn't feel like that's that weight pulling down on her hair. That could, cause stress and discomfort. Placing the extension, yeah?
Let's talk a minute about what happens if you put too much hair in.
If you put too much hair in, you're gonna get slippage. That doesn't allow the adhesives to stick together and create that watertight seal. If you put too little hair, it can cause extra stress on the hair that could eventually lead to breakage. So grabbing just the right amount of hair is crucial for any application, and it'll give the client the longest wear. So with the Hair Talk method, after you grab your slice of hair, what you want to do is in between your index and your middle finger, grab the hair, place your pinky on the scalp, and then lift up. Place the extension, and then roll down. What this does is you're following the natural fall of the hair, the natural growth of the hair. So as the extensions grow out, it's just comfortable, right? You want to say?
Yeah, and you're basically placing the extension in a perfectly horizontal. I think that's really important to talk about too. You always want to make sure that the extension is perfectly horizontal with that section, because on a diagonal can create a little too much stress on the weighted side, and particularly as she grows out, it gets even more compromising. So a perfectly horizontal section and a perfectly horizontal placement, super important.
Yeah. So then what you want to do is, after you place your first extension, grab the second extension, avoiding the adhesive, And then you want to just place it corner to corner. And then before you squeeze it shut, you grab your extension brush and just take out any hairs that might have gone in from another section. Lift it up and squeeze. And within 48 hours, this creates a nice watertight seal. And you can see your client in 6 to 8 weeks have removed them. So now as I continue working backwards to the center back, I'm just gonna place one more extension, and usually around the temple rows, you wanna ping pong. But right now I'm just gonna place one more and then go over to the other side.
So really important, guys, your nape row 1 and 2 and 3 are typically in an inverted S pattern. You're kind of starting on one side. So if you're starting on the right, you're going towards the left. Your second row, you're starting on the left, working towards the right. And your third row, you're starting on the right, working on the left. When you're working on the temple rows, a little bit different. You're going to mirror what you're doing on one side with the other, and this is really important to create balance in the application in that area.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about spacing, because I know that's super important to make sure that your extensions are spaced just the right amount, one next to the other.
So like I mentioned before, you want your extensions close together, that way you can avoid any gaps towards the ends. However, you want them close but not touching. If they start touching as the hair grows, those ends start rubbing together and it could cause liftage, meaning the corners start lifting up and water starts getting in there, which can cause slippage as well throughout the wear of the application.
And liftage and slippage are two new words.
Lifted, yeah, I'm making up words as I go, guys. All right.
And then about how much distance are we going between rows? So one row to the other is about how much space?
One row to another, once again, it all depends on the density of the client's hair. On average, you're looking at about 1/4 inch to 1 inch. So you're looking at about 1/4 inch to 1 inch in between rows. Once again, our model here is a little denser. She might not look like it, but she has a lot of hair. So I went with her about 1/2 inch in between rows. And in between the extensions, a great way of measuring width in between extensions, once again, that extension brush, and just place the brush in between. If there's a little bit of space on either side, you're good to go. And then, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but you can see where the extension is at. And then that's where you want to place one corner and lay it across to the other corner. Once again, take out any hairs that could have possibly got stuck in between. Lift and squeeze. Another great way to know if you're placing these extensions correctly for the client is a lift test. If you're able to go like this without it causing any tension, and you ask the client if she's comfortable, if she feels any hairs getting pulled, and she's saying no, so we're good to go and we can continue working. So like I said, now I place my first 2 extensions and I'm gonna go over to the other side just to make sure that we have balance.
So Randy, while you're working that other side, let's talk a little bit about what's the best way for a stylist or a student who's coming out maybe post-graduation, and how are they introducing this into their, if they've already got a successful Instagram page, let's say, how are they telling their followers or their audience that, okay, now I got, I can do extensions and this is something that I want to be able to offer? Is there any advice that you could give there?
I think a great thing that you can possibly do, especially after graduating from school, is getting certified in an extension method. It shows your future customers that you have invested in yourself and invested in your career and what services you're going to provide them. So certifications is a great, really quickly, you want to once again Make sure that I'm placing them same width apart from the hairline, just to maintain that balance. Certification is a great way. I recommend it. I have been doing this for years. Marlene can speak to it, but every time Hair Talk comes out with a new method, I'm the first one in class.
That is the truth. I think, you know, one of the most important things, I think as creatives, right? I think artists in general are always just eager for more information and better understanding. I think particularly in our industry, knowledge is so much power, and you know, getting out there and getting those certifications and really learning these techniques is really important. You know, because each method has its own process and its own, you know, its own set of hand movements and, you know, measurements and things like that. And these are learned skills. So, you know, building that muscle memory along with understanding the techniques and why they work the way that they work is really important.
Yeah. And then another thing you can always do is, we all have that one friend that wants free hair. Have her come in, you charge her for the hair, and you provide her a service for free. And that way you have your first client behind the chair. You can record it, take pictures, and have more content for social media. That way you can start getting the word out there and start marketing yourself as an extension expert.
Yeah, and I think one thing that Randy mentioned, which is super important, it also lets your clientele, your future clientele, and some of your existing clientele know that you are really serious about learning this and being able to give them a successful service, because anybody could learn something, you know, through books and pictures and things like that, but when you take a certification class and you're doing that hands-on, it lets your clients know, okay, he or she really learned how to do this technique, and they're going to give me the most comfortable, the safest, and the most beautiful transformation, really.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really cool to just kind of talk through that hand placement one more time, because I think that's where a lot of new extension experts, particularly to tape, get a little bit fumbled, is in that hand placement, because keeping that pinky on the scalp is, for that control, is super important.
I'll show it to them now as I get to my third. Here at Hair Talk, we call it the pop lock drop.
Love that.
All right. So here, as we start getting to the center back, before I get into the pop lock drop, we want to just start taking into consideration the amount of space. And here what I'm probably going to do is incorporate more of the petites, because it gives me just enough space to add 3 more petites without having the extension super tight.
Yeah, really important that there's enough space between them, right?
Yeah. And then now what I'm going to do is, as I start getting to the center back, if you consider the hair getting parted in the middle, if running your hands through the hair, now by placing the plus extension on top, that rooted extension, it gives more, it conceals the hair and avoids anybody out there really noticing that you have extensions. So what you want to do is always place the plus, that rooted extension, in the areas that it's, the areas of higher visibility, essentially. Sorry. And I placed it, and I didn't even explain the pop lock drop, didn't I?
Well, you've got 2 more, so you're good.
All right.
Kick out those sides. And Randy, what lengths did we use for Erica?
For Erica, we used mainly 17-inch hair. Her hair was probably at, what, 13 inches, 12 inches. So we gave her a good 4 to 5 inches of length. Our lengths are the package does say 17-inch, but because we have pre-tapered ends, we're talking about some hair is at 16, some is at 18. It just gives that natural effect, and it really helps it blend into the hair, more seamlessly. So I'm going to go into the hand placement. Take the section of hair. Take off the adhesive cover. Once again, in between the index finger and middle finger, place the pinky at the scalp, lift. With the other hand, place the extension and then just roll. Then we are ready to place the other one on top. I'm a little bit of a mess.
They're slippery.
You never want the extensions hitting the floor in front of clients. Once again, avoiding the tape tabs, find that first corner, place the extension over it, and then just work your way across. Remove any little hairs, and then squeeze it shut. And then now we have just enough space for one more. And I'll go over the hand movement just one more time as it's our last one.
And why is it so important to keep your fingers away from the adhesive?
Any product buildup, your natural oils on the skin, the oils could compromise the adhesive. How can I say it?
You said it great.
Yeah, like pretty much by getting the oils in between the adhesive, it can easily make the hair slip faster.
Yeah.
Same thing with alcohol. You never want to use any alcohol-based products close to the adhesive.
Yeah, so client care is going to be another really important conversation to have. You should have it during consultation and then obviously again after your application, and just encouraging your clients to stay away from alcohol, products that have a lot of alcohol, oils, ethanols, anything that could break down adhesive, particularly near the root where the adhesive is right there. If they're using shine enhancing and things like that, they can keep it at the mid shaft down, but at the root, you want to always encourage them to avoid that. So I think that we have some questions coming through is what I'm seeing.
We do, just some general ones.
Sure.
What about applying heat to these?
Good question.
Same thing. Heat at the adhesive could break down the adhesive, compromise the extension. And by breaking down the adhesive, you can experience the hair. You can experience hair falling out, like shedding. And once again, the adhesive breaking down, causing that slippage and the hair falling out.
So the hair can be ironed, but just not where the application was.
Right, you
Yes.
want to just kind of place your heat tools, blow dryers, flat irons, curling ones. You want to kind of
Yeah.
drop down a little bit below the adhesive and kind of smooth this area out. Keep in mind that where the tape tab lives is going to kind of give you a little bit of natural smoothing because it's holding that hair in place anyway. So you're just going to come, your client, and even you, when you're styling their hair, you're going to come down a little bit lower.
And another thing to remember is that we're stylists, so we have better control of heat products. Heat products, how much heat, clients will grab their flat iron, place it there and just hold it there. So you want to avoid putting excessive heat on the extension themselves. It is 100% Remy human hair. So it could take heat, but it's not, once again, secondhand hair. It's not attached to the scalp. It's not getting those natural oils. So you just want to make sure you're taking care of the hair. Clients are paying for it, so you want to make sure that you're teaching them the ways of taking care of their hair.
How long does the tape usually last?
So initial application, so like let's say she goes home now, her reapplication, you can start taking this down actually. So after initial application, we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks. That's when she'll start experiencing, natural growth. So the extensions are a little bit longer and they need to get removed and reapplied.
How high up the head can you apply extensions?
Great question.
Great question. You can go as high up as you need to go with, as long as there's enough hair to cover it. Because once again, you don't want anybody on the street telling her, hey, I love your extensions, because that's not the point of extensions.
And typically to start out, we'd recommend 3 rows in the back, starting at the nape, and maybe another row or 2 temple to temple. You don't want to go up too high when you're learning. Just again, because you're learning that spacing, that placement, how much hair is too much hair, and concealing the extensions for your client is going to be the most important thing. So keep your applications low, stick to maximum about 4 to 5 rows, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then as you build your skill set and you get a little bit more advanced, then we've got extension experts that kind of go up into this area here, but they know how to work it. So yeah.
And that's a whole nother topic, because there's a lot of clients that, with more density means more extensions you got to place to really give that seamless transformation. But that's where maybe a row of weft can come into place.
So Randy's going to do a quick smooth, and we want to make sure we have time to show you guys the blend and shape, because this is the really, this could make or break your application. So blend and shape becomes super important because you did this great consultation on your client, you gave her this beautiful transformation, and then you end up going into it and with the shears, and a bunch of the hair ends up on the floor. She's not going to love that because she paid you quite a bit of money for an extension transformation, and if she sees hair on the floor, it's gonna be a little bit off-putting for her. So one of the most important things to remember is that you're not using traditional cutting techniques when you're blending and shaping extensions. And the reason we call it blend and shape is because that's what you're doing. You're not cutting these extensions. They've already been pre-layered, so they're gonna give her that beautiful flow towards the end. You are blending these extensions into her natural hair. It's second hair, so we wanna make sure that we kind of marry it together. So Randy's gonna show you and talk you through some of those really important things to remember when you're doing the blend and shape. And in this case, less is more. So you want to make sure you're taking off the least amount of hair possible. And again, avoid all your traditional hair cutting techniques. You want to use blend and shape, hair extension specific techniques to do this blend and shape, right?
Yep.
So she's all smoothed, and that's another really important thing. Smooth extensions are really your best storytellers because they're going to tell you if your application was done properly or not. You can conceal a lot with a wave. So you want to make sure that you're looking at your transformation with straight hair. So let's go ahead and do her blend and shape.
All right. So with the blend and shape, as Marlene mentioned, you never want to do traditional cutting techniques just because it's going to create, you're going to be able to see those shells of extensions that were placed. So everything is about slide cutting, blending, and no blunt cuts. So with the blend and shape, I'm left-handed, so I always start on the right. Actually, let me show the camera. You can see where you place the extension, and there's that shelf. From her hair to the extension, what you want to do is go in there and just blend it in. Is this good? So
let's turn her around a little bit more so we can see. You gotta come.
Okay.
There you go.
So you take like inch sections, and what you want to do is just comb it forward. Where you see her natural hair end, kind of want to shake it out, because once again, you never want to cut her hair. And then with your scissors, you're never really closing the scissors. All you're doing is slide cutting, and less is more. So it already starts creating those layers at the front that start blending in. Take another inch section, comb it forward where the hair starts ending, shake off any of her hair, and then with your scissors, start just slightly slide cutting down.
And you can see how little bit is coming off.
Yeah. You never want the client to be like, oh, there's, half of my money just got cut off. This one I need just a little bit more, so I'll go back in and just slide cut. And already you can start seeing the difference in the sides. This one, there's a little bit more of a blend, and this one, there's still that little bit of a disconnect. So you're gonna do this working all the way backwards to the center back. And I'm gonna work there, but I just wanna make sure that I'm showing you the front and both sides really quickly, and then start incorporating the back. Comb it forward. And just continue your little slide cutting. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
So you're basically going for some face framing here.
Yeah.
Exactly. What we're doing is we're blending the extension hair into her hair and shaping the full transformation. So that's where the blend and shape comes from. And the more you over direct in the front, the safer her hair is. So as you're learning, definitely shake out her hair to protect her length, her own length and density. And the only thing that you should be blending is the extension hair into hers.
Can you use a razor on the hair?
You can. I would just, especially for stylists starting off, I would recommend using scissors, because with the razor you can cut off a lot real quick. And the other thing with a razor is you always want to make sure you have a brand new razor every time, because if not, dry cutting with a razor tends to create split ends. So that's one thing you want to avoid.
So we're going to try to get through this blend and shape really quickly so we can see what our full and finished transformation looks like, which I'm sure everybody's super excited to see. I know Erica is.
Generally, how many packs of hair did you use?
On average, we recommend 2 to 3 packs of original. That's our 1.6 inch size. 1 pack of petite, or 2 packs of petite is equivalent to like 1 pack of originals. So it all depends. And like I said, with Erica here, she has a little bit more dense hair. And for the amount of inches we added, I had to use 4 packs.
So there's a little bit of math involved, right?
Just
so
a little bit.
2 to 3 packs is kind of your standard full transformation. You have to consider a lot of things. You have to consider where your client is starting and where she wants to go. And you also have to consider the density of her existing hair and what that transition is going to look like in terms of length. So you may have to add more hair and add more rows into your application to be able to create that seamless transition, because that's what's most important. Again, you're going for a look that is gorgeous hair, not gorgeous extensions. So it's really important.
And then once I get to the back, can you guys see me? I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize about the camera. Let me lift her up actually some, because this hair is super long.
She looks very excited about that, by the way. You said long and she smiled.
So in the back, what you want to do is, once again, you're going to just slide cut, and you're going to just start blending in and creating that U shape. If you see any little long hairs that you just want to take off, you point cut. Once again, nothing's ever just a blunt cut.
So it's basically sliding and point cutting, but using these hand movements and over directing the hair in certain areas to make sure that you're not removing density and length either on her or on the extension hair.
Yeah.
What's the shortest hair you can put extensions on usually?
We have an educator that has put extensions on hair
Like 2 inches?
like 2 inches.
Yeah. Typically, I would say that's kind of your minimum, 2 or 3 inches of length you could add an extension to. We've taken pixie cuts and added extensions to them, but yeah, about 2 or 3 inches is kind of the shortest. And we offer extensions in 13 17, 21, and 25 inch. So you've got a lot of, a lot of customization that can be done.
Anything else? No other questions?
Did we have other questions come through?
No, there's many. A lot of people are wondering about coloring the hair,
Oh,
both
okay,
general color and also some vivids. So what are the answers to that?
So coloring the extensions, anytime you're doing a chemical service to extension hair, you want to be really careful. You never want to try to lift color off the extensions, but you can deposit 1 to 2 levels. So you want to make sure that you're considering also the tones, right? Randy, give a little bit of insight there.
So with depositing color, like Marlene mentioned, 1 to 2 levels. You never want to bleach the hair.
No lifting.
No lifting at all. At the end of the day, there's just such a variety of colors that you should never really have to color the hair.
Yeah. And Vivids would be like a custom coloring application, and that is an advanced level skill. I would work with the extensions that are available to you, particularly in Hair Talk, and I'm gonna let you keep working and just grab this color ring for a second. So with Hair Talk, you've got such a beautiful collection that you have colors in here for just about everybody, and there are some vivids in here that you can incorporate into an application and get some really fun looks for your clients. So I would start out learning your techniques and really mastering your skill set in application first, before you start doing, advanced kind of color techniques. And one thing I will also mention too, if you do opt to do any type of chemical service, if it's color, if it's smoothing, if it's texturizing services, you have to wait 48 hours after you've applied the extensions before you do any chemical services to them. So just be mindful of that as well. And when you're applying extensions before your application, if, for example, someone, for me particularly, when I get extensions done, I have naturally curly hair, I do a smoothing treatment. You have to wait 2 weeks before you do any sort of chemical smoothing treatments before you put extensions on, to make sure that any of that residue, that's left behind from those treatments is off the hair before you put in, particularly tape ins, because you don't want anything that will compromise the adhesive. So Randy's just kind of finishing up Erica's transformation here and doing some touch-ups on that blend with the point cut. And I think we've got more questions.
Yeah, we have a good question. So are stylists with extensions expected to have back bar and have inventory on hand?
Oh, that's a great question. So think about any time that you want to offer a service on an impulse, and sometimes extensions can be an impulse buy. So if you have this hanging at your station, and a client says to you, oh, can I have that, or what is that? If you've got inventory in the extensions in your salon, then you're able to even put a couple of pieces in just to offer her a little bit of a sample. To be able to, at least try out the extensions and see what they feel like. So I would recommend, yes, an inventory, a small inventory of some natural colors, and think about the colors that you do a lot in chemical color, and that's kind of a good sort of starting point, wouldn't you say, in selecting colors for an inventory?
Yeah. You know your clients, you know your blondes, you know your brunettes. So it's always great, just like when you purchase hair color in the salon, you're gonna have more 6s, more 7s, more 10s. You'll kind of want to do the same thing.
So what's the immediate maintenance about washing?
There is no immediate maintenance. You gotta wait 48 hours before you wash or sweat.
Yes. So you want to wait that 48 hours. Those 2 days is really crucial. That's when the adhesive is bonding to itself on the extension tape tab, so you want to give it that time. So no washing, no wetting, no sweating. So for those of you that work out, for your clients that work out quite a bit, you're going to want to tell them just to avoid the gym, take a break for 2 days, because perspiration, any type of water or moisture that gets into that adhesive before that 2 day point can compromise the adhesive and create slippage over time. So definitely you want to wait. And some of the other things that you want to make sure that your client understands before she leaves your chair is that she wants to, again, use products that are sulfate free, particularly with blondes, because you don't want anything that is going to cause color fading or mess with the tonality of the extensions. So avoiding products that that have sulfate and can strip color, or products that can deposit color. So even self tanners and spray tans and things like that, you want to encourage her to kind of avoid that while she's wearing extensions.
So
can I interrupt you? We're going to wrap up in a minute. I thought we should show some photos from the afters.
Okay.
You can talk about styles and things like that. And then we want to go back and everybody's asking, they want to see a removal.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
see
so
that.
here you can describe what we did previously.
So this is Erica's finished look with some waves that we put in. Again, you can see the color transformation was great. It has all the dimension that she was going for. The blend and shape was really crucial because this is not an extension application. This is just gorgeous hair, which is really the most important thing we could give her at the end of this. And we gave her quite a bit of length. I mean, she was somewhere probably between 13 and 14 inches of natural length, and we went down to 21 inches and very minimal blending. So she was able to keep a lot of that length. And look at all this gorgeous volume.
Hair for days.
Hair for days, that's what we love. And you can wave this and style it. There's a lot of versatility with the styling. And another thing that you want to make sure, Erica, that when you're sleeping, that you're tying that hair up in a nice loose knot so that you're not creating any matting or any tangling with the extensions. But let's definitely show a removal, Randy, so that everybody can see how easy that is. So with removal, there's a couple of tools that you need. So you need your sectioning brush, really important, and you need remove solvent. It's basically a mixture of alcohol and water, and it dissolves the extension adhesive just enough to get it off her hair. And then you're replacing the tape tab and putting it right back in. And one of the really cool things too that we have is the removal and reapplication board, which I'm going to let Randy do that while I grab it.
So I'm going to remove this and obviously place it back afterwards so she doesn't have, a non-blended front section here. It's going to be a little more difficult because we just placed the extension and it's super high up. Usually when the client comes in, we're talking about 6 to 8 weeks. The extensions are going to be just a little bit low, Between growth and everything else, we're looking at maybe 1 inch to 2 inches of the extension being a little bit lower. What you want to do is grab your solvent and then just spray it directly above the tab. Let it go in between. I love, since I don't have nails, I love using the extension brush and just
Watch your elbow.
Placing it in between. All right. And then using it to kind of take apart the extensions. And this one did not open properly. But yeah.
So you're basically using the solvent to dissolve the adhesive between the extension tabs, and a good application and a properly cared for extension wear will allow your extensions to remove nice and easily. And then this terrific little tool is your removal and reapplication board, and it's basically lined up so that your removal and reapplication is really easy. So you're placing the extensions exactly where the board is telling you, so that when your application is completely removed, you're just using this board as your roadmap to redo her application. So Randy's going to show you a quick retape. Now keep in mind, you need to leave these on the board after you finish the entire removal. You're leaving this on the board for about 15 minutes so that the adhesive can fully dry. And then you're retaping it. And one of the great things about Hair Talk extensions is that you do not have to remove the adhesive from the tape tab that you just took off her hair. You can just put the new one right on top and put it right back in. So if you see, I'm sorry, Randy. So if you see Randy put the top and the bottom extensions here, the row 7 is her highest row. So when you're doing your application, you're working from the bottom up, your removal is from the top down, and your reapplication, again, is the bottom up, and the board is gonna help you follow that along without even thinking about it. And you also don't have to do the blend and shape most of the time. The second time, it's already done.
After blending and shaping the hair, if you're not organized with your removal, when you're placing all the extensions back in, what you're gonna see is you're gonna have longer pieces here, longer pieces over there, shorter piece here, because the hair was already blended to the client's natural hair. So by placing it back in the head in that same order, it avoids an extra step, and clients, once again, don't wanna see you cutting that extension every time you come in.
So Randy's gonna show you quickly how to retape. And again, we're not gonna put these back in her hair because we've not given them a sufficient amount of time to dry, but normally you would let these dry for 15 minutes and then they're ready to go back right back into your client with new adhesive.
So let's say this is the one that you took off the board, and then we have our tape tabs. Once again, avoiding, you know, it's a little more difficult with this tape tab, and I'm trying to use a little bit of nail I have. But what you want to do is just simply, same way of the extensions, corner to corner. And the tape tab is back on, and then to remove it, there's a break in the middle. And you just take it off, and you're ready for your reapplication. And that's it.
And if you were pulling that extension from the board, you would be pulling that at the end because you would have started up here at the nape row. So again, another thing that you learn in certification is how to properly build your removal on your reapplication board. So you're not even thinking about it when you're putting them back in. Your board is kind of doing the hard work for you.
Honestly, that thing is a lifesaver because I've done extensions where they're everywhere.
Or in bundles.
They're in bundles. Okay, this is that row, this is that row.
And you're guessing.
So, and this is a luxury service, so you always want to try to stay as neat as possible, organized.
Do you want to go ahead and put that one in?
Well, that was a different size, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw in another one.
So we can take her hair back down. Do you have any more questions coming through?
Yeah, what are the ideas of doing this on people who have really thinning hair?
So I think, you know, thin hair is typically, those are the clients that actually want extensions because they want volume, they want length, they want all those great things that extensions can offer them. As long as there's no you're always doing a thorough consultation with your client, you're always asking her questions about what she's going through. If it's just thin, and there's no active shedding going on, and there's no, you know, medical reason or anything like that that she might actively be losing hair, tape-ins are a really great way to introduce extensions to your client safely without compromising her hair. And those petite sizes and the plus extensions and that variation, that customization that it gives you really does allow you to apply on clients with thinner hair with no problem.
Yep. And if there is excessive shedding and like constant shedding, you know, as stylists, we're not medical doctors. We always want to recommend for them to go see a doctor, see if it's something that they can work on. And really, there just sometimes comes a time where you got to tell the client, not today.
Yep. And when you get more advanced in your extension skills and you learn some of the other methods like sew and weft, like keratin bonds, you're going to have more variety in the extension offerings that you can make available to your clients, and it allows you to kind of customize the application and the method to the client's needs and their existing hair. So he's going to go in and do a little bit more blend and shape because those 2 extensions that he put in were brand new.
Done.
Are there any hair options that Hair Talk has for curly textured hair?
The extensions come in a natural body wave, so they have a really pretty just wave to them. They can be curled and styled any way.
The hair, after installing the extensions, they tend, because of that body wave that it has, depending on how tight of a curl the client has, it tends to marry into the client's hair and grab the same shape of it. If the client has maybe a soft wave, it'll grab on that soft wave effect or just get a little bit curlier. However, those tight curls,
it styles really easily, so
Yeah.
they can actually like curling wand and wave their hair to match their curl patterns.
I can actually, and the best part about extensions is if you do curl it, it tends to hold longer than their natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
So for styling purposes, clients love putting on extensions because their hair holds that style a lot longer.
And it holds the curl a lot longer too than most natural hair too.
Yeah. But
So
yeah.
I'm gonna throw a few waves in it and finish the style for her.
Can I come join the family?
Of
Yeah.
course you can.
I'm always off camera talking. People are like, who is that? It's me. There are two things a lot of people are commenting on. Do you guys engage with students and offer discounts and all that? And we won't get into those types of things. However, hairtalk has a really helpful group. And so you can go to their website. It's hairtalkusa.com/pages/students. And here you can register and they'll engage with you and offer whatever it is you need at your stage in your career, whether you're a student or a pro. They have certifications, information, and often purchasing incentives for you. So there's no one answer for everyone, but go to hairtalkusa.com/pages/students, yes?
Yes.
So that's the thing. And then also again today, remember the Hair Talk channel has launched in Styles. So we're really excited about
So
that.
exciting.
And so there's like 6 videos in there now. And
Something
I
like
think
that.
we've made more and there's like 10 other ones that are coming in. So we'll be adding to that. So there's always new application methods you can learn, new styling tips you can learn. There's always more stuff. There's content everywhere and we try to bring all of it to Styles for you.
Yeah, lots of inspiration, you guys. And if I could encourage you to do anything, just learn it. Just take the time, invest in your own career, invest in your own skill set, and really devote the time to learning a specialty. It's gonna really help you be more successful behind the chair, post-graduation and post-licensing, because this is what's hot right now. Everybody is looking at these long, gorgeous haired celebrities and saying, I want that. And
Yeah.
you wanna be able to give them those looks. And create those transformations, and extensions is definitely going to be how you're going to get that done.
That's how a lot of the social media hair porn is made, is people using extensions to do those big transformations.
It's not a lot. Majority of those big hair transformations
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
extensions.
Yeah, so it's really good to build up your social as well and create some attention and attract more clients.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, you can see already I smoothed out some of the ends. I'm not gonna have too much time to curl everything, but a slight bit of heat and the hair already takes on shape.
Gorgeous. And look at all of this. So,
hair for
so
days.
nice.
Hair talk
So
for days.
pretty.
Well, great job, everybody. You guys
Thank
did amazing.
you.
There was a ton of great questions. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. Remember to get your certificate of completion. Take a picture of it, post it, tag Hair Talk USA, tag Styles app, and tag Milady Education so we can all acknowledge and repost you.
Yeah, and don't forget to register on our student pages. We want to help you. We want to support you throughout your career and make sure that you're set up for success.
And if you ever have any other questions about extensions, you can always reach out on Instagram, Hair Talk USA, and our girls are always more than willing to help.
And so is Randy,
And Randy.
at Randy Garcia HD.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you
you next
guys.
time.
Thank you so much for watching.
Great job.